I'm Kris Shields. I'm a research assistant for the Center on the American Governor here at Eagleton. I graduated from Yale University with a BA in American Studies, concentrating in history in 1997, and then went straight to law school at NYU. Graduated from there, and I actually practiced law for a couple years in New York. I did commercial real estate law for a little over a year, and then was a law clerk at NBC doing media law for a year as well. Decided at that point it was time to leave the legal practice and go back to school. So I actually taught history for a couple years before that, then came to Rutgers to start working on a PhD in history. I'm ABD, they call it, which means I finished all my coursework, and I'm just working on the dissertation, in addition to working here at Eagleton. I provide support for pretty much everything we do at the Center of the American Governor. I help run the website. That's where we sort of put most of the information that we have. I produce content for that, do a lot of research into various issues that have to do with the governor, whether here in New Jersey or across the country. And we draft papers. We also provide raw data that we put on our website. We also conduct interviews with various people from mostly New Jersey, former New Jersey governors, people who were in administrations, and I help with those interviews. And then I actually work with undergrads quite a bit, helping sort of guide them as they help, whether it's putting information onto the sites or sort of collecting information so that we can use it. All sorts of things. Basically anything that comes up that has to do with the Center and the American Governor, I'm involved with at some level. Something that Governor Byrne told us in one of his interviews, where we asked him what the most important thing was that he did as governor, or asked him what his legacy was, something along those lines. And his answer was the creation of the Pinelands, and the Pinelands bill that he was able to push through, creating the Pinelands Commission. And he said the reason was that all of the other things that he did as governor, he felt that for the most part, whoever was governor would have done them. But that was the one thing that happened only because it was him who was governor. That Governor Byrne took such a personal interest in it and decided to do it, and did a number of things. That entire story is interesting. We have an entire section on it on the website of the creation of the Pinelands, and that it happened because of his motivations behind it and his passion for it, and that he felt that was the one thing that he accomplished that no one else would have if they were governor. And that's always sort of stuck with me as a really interesting story and interesting insight into how governors think about their legacies. It's a question that we often ask. I think for me, I've really enjoyed looking through the transcripts because sometimes when you're least expecting, you'll come across a story that's just fascinating, something that might not be the most famous moment in New Jersey history, but that just happened, and the people who were there remember it and talk about it. From a document standpoint, I think there are a number of documents, again, that you might not immediately associate with New Jersey governors, but that are actually really fascinating. There's a whole series of documents involving the potential clemency for the boxer Robin Hurricane Carter, who was involved in a bar fight in New Jersey and was accused of murder. And there's a whole back and forth with his attorneys trying to get him clemency, and then the bar owner trying to oppose it. And you can sort of see this developing as you go through it, and it makes for a really sort of interesting reading as well. And then one other sort of example of how this can become interesting when you least expect it was when Nelson Mandela passed away. We realized that we had some documents relating to New Jersey's decision under Governor Kaine to divest from South Africa, and that we actually had interviews where people were talking about that decision, as well as the documents that actually ordered the divestiture from South Africa. So it's sort of amazing sometimes how something happens in the news where you don't immediately make the connection to New Jersey, but then when you look into it, you realize there actually is a connection to New Jersey. And a lot of times we have the document or the stories or the interviews that go along with that.